Good afternoon, fellow teachers. I would like to welcome you to my presentation on understanding different cultures in our classroom and some of the things that we could do as educators to maybe help our students out, maybe help ourselves out. You never know. There's some good stuff in here. So let's go ahead and begin. How do we teach our students to understand each other and appreciate our differences? So that's something we face a lot here at Cyber. We have a lot of different nationalities at this school, different ethnic backgrounds, different cultures. So I want to get us thinking about those kind of things. So keep it in your mind, those kind of things. I'm talking too fast, sorry. So keep it in your mind, and as we go through some of the things, the questions that we're about to see, I want you to think about how would you handle this if you were a student, if you were one of our students and you had to answer this question. Would this make you feel comfortable? Would it make you feel a little uncomfortable? So let's start. There we go. Well, how do we do it? We have to begin, of course, with ourselves. We have to look inward. We have to go back to our past. We have to rethink those views that we have on what multicultural education truly is. So let's think about some of the things you might remember. Who were your childhood friends? And what kind of foods did you like when you were kids? So go ahead and discuss with your neighbor for just a second. Kind of talk about who your friends were and where you found your friends. And cousins. Cousins and neighborhood friends were my friends. All right. Let's bring that together.
We're Austrian.
Okay. Thank you. So, if anybody's willing to share maybe what they talked about with their partner, that would be awesome. Miss Jackson, would you share?
Let's see. All my friends were little white Anglo kids.
Okay.
And I had just come to this country, and so therefore I learned how to eat hot dogs from them. And baked beans, which I've always hated.
Oh, there you go. Anybody else want to share with us today? Mrs. Maldonado? Mrs. Maldonado?
Where we lived, it was just boys, so they didn't want to have boys.
They don't want to play with you girls? Okay.
Walked to school with us.
Oh, yeah.
No, so it was just my family.
Just your family. Okay, well, and that's a good segue into our next one. What about the foods that you like right now? What are some of the foods that you love that maybe you were brought up on as a child? What are some of those things that with every holiday you can't live without that type of food? What are some examples of that? Yes, Mrs. Toll.
Shrimp gumbo.
Shrimp gumbo? I've never had that.
Tamales.
Tamales. Yay. Anybody else?
Black-eyed peas and cornbread and with ham hocks on New Year's Day.
There you go. So anybody else want to share that? Those are awesome, wonderful foods that we can talk about. Well, what I would like to share with you is that our research shows that our childhood is one of those first memories that we associate with our culture and with our background. So we bring those memories with us all the way through into adulthood. So did it make you smile when you thought about those foods or those childhood friends that you, so again, memories are very, very powerful. Now let's talk about this one. Now this is a little taboo for school. Are you religious? What type of holiday traditions do you have in your home? As teachers, we've kind of gotten away from speaking about anything religious for fear of we might offend someone, we might get in trouble, any of those type of things. So what I want to encourage you to do is really share with your class and have your class share with you. Those are things we can't just avoid them. It's part of the fabric of who we are. So please make sure that you're thinking about those when you're having those conversations around the holidays. Celebrate our differences as much as our similarities. Now this is another one that I think is kind of a little harder. Do you identify as being one race or more than one race?
More than one race.
More than one race, okay. Anybody else?
One race.
Okay. So now I heard everybody kind of get a little like, ugh, that's one of those touchy subjects. Well, maybe we really don't want to talk about that. And that's what this presentation is going to feature for us, are ways for us to feel a little more comfortable in our classrooms discussing these things. And to let you know that it truly is okay that we celebrate our differences as much as our similarities. So let's see, moving on. Oh, what about your language? What about the places you've traveled? How many of you have traveled outside of the country? Awesome. So you've been to other places and been immersed in other cultures. And how did that feel? Anybody would like to share how that felt with them?
I can say that when I traveled outside the country, my first trip, that I was traveling in Africa, so people looked different than I did, and definitely they spoke a different language. It was a little uncomfortable.
A little uncomfortable, maybe a little intimidating if you don't speak that language. So let's think about that. Most of us spoke English as our first language. Is there, maybe some of us didn't, maybe it was our second language. Talking about your first language or second language as adults, do you feel a little like, oh, well, gosh, I'm a teacher, I really only think about the English part, I don't really think about those things outside of the classroom, but your children, your students in your classroom, I'm sure love it when you speak your other language. That is very much something that they appreciate, as well as I tell my kids all the time, I have Mr. Miguel, our custodian, helping me to learn Spanish because all I speak is English. So celebrating each other and celebrating our differences is something that we could really do in our classrooms a little bit more. So I was going to go on through, what color, what hair color, what skin color, and ethnicity do you, all of those things. But I can see now that we can move on and actually have this discussion with your partner of all of those questions, and if I could get you to just, think about it, you don't have to write it down, just kind of talk about it, of all of those questions, which one made you feel the most uncomfortable? So go ahead and discuss with your friends, your partners.
It was hair color. Mine changes.
Josh?